Oh, just stop it, Angie. We're ready to go. Christian's all hot and bothered because Christian's come in tonight. By the way, everybody, welcome to the Hollywood and Toto segment of the Michael Brown Show. Christian Toto has stumbled in, and he's frothing at the mouth.
I am. I'm all verklempt. I am loaded to bear with the View clips, and one is better than the next. And I know we've had weeks where we didn't have any View segments. I think recently we've been getting a little heavier, but right. I've got 3 today. I think we'll at least hit 2. Because I've got to hit these 2. These are nuclear bomb View clips to me.
And you told me during the break you want to start with Meghan McCain.
Yes.
And the title of this is The View Breaks Meghan McCain. Do you want to give any background? Like, why do you say that?
Because, so there's always one conservative on the show. And in the past, it was Jedediah Bila, who to me was rather milquetoast.
Sure.
And now I follow her on Twitter, and she's a very strong, proud conservative whose voice I don't recognize, having gotten to know her from The View.
Yeah.
And I think when Meghan McCain joined The View, she was fire and brimstone. We've talked about this a lot. We kind of joke, hey, when are they going to fire her? She's too good at what she does.
Right, because she actually did show prep.
Did show prep, stood her ground, called out her colleagues, did it in a very smart, professional manner,
right.
Not the raving and screaming. And I saw
That's what I always liked about her was when she took the what I call the dumbassery of mm-hmm. both parties, but in particular The View, and she didn't scream at them.
No.
She sliced and diced them. She gutted them like a deer on the field.
She was surgeon-like.
Yeah.
And when I saw this headline, and it was from the Newsbusters, obviously, I check a lot of their stuff out.
You write over there too.
I do, yeah.
I've seen your columns over there.
I just went, really? And it made my heart sink a bit. And it's all this week about the bombing targets, what's going on. And of course, the media immediately blames Trump and his rhetoric, ignoring all the violence that's been perpetrated by the left that you'd have to say could potentially have been fueled by all the rhetoric from the left against the right.
On Thursday, what drove me nuts about the bombings were they kept every chyron that I looked at, even on Fox News, Maxine Waters or Joe Biden or whatever, they referred to all these people who received mm-hmm. these suspected explosives, because there's no proof that they are explosives, suspected explosives as Trump's targets.
Right.
And I thought, seriously?
That's amazing. But that's how narratives form. It's not accidental, and shame on Fox News for kind of stumbling into that.
Right.
Listen, everything may be connected to Trump or nothing may be connected to Trump, and we'll find out in the days and weeks to come. Although I argue that the rhetoric on the left has been far more inflammatory and far more
there's been actual violence. There's
the cause and the effect.
Right.
The Bernie Brothers guy who's shooting at the baseball field.
Right.
Is a prime example.
Okay, so do you want do I just hit play?
It starts out right away, and I think it gets where
I'll watch for the hand signal.
Okay.
All right.
And I think we're all petrified right now in the sense that this is happening down the street from where we live. And I've been doing so much soul searching in my life in so many different ways right now. And I talked to my producers beforehand, and I wanted to bring this up, that I really try every day. I really try to come into work thinking about what rhetoric I'm going to put out in the world and what my father would have done if he was still here. Last year on this show, I said, I hate Hillary Clinton, and I called her Crooked Hillary. And it is one of the things I regret doing, because
She doesn't regret virtue signaling, but she regrets saying that. Now, first of all, I think at any point in a broadcaster's career, you could look back to an episode, a show, a phrase, and say, maybe it was inelegant, maybe I should have argued it differently, maybe the context should have been more sharp. You could always go back and do that. But what she's doing right now is saying, I'm one of the good guys. I'm like my fellow View castmates. I don't want to be part of this narrative, and I want to bow out, and I want to kind of show my hand and say, look at me. I'm not part of it, which I think is false on about 12 different fronts, based mostly on what we just talked about.
And having not heard the rest of it, I would say, personally, I do believe that Hillary Clinton is an unindicted criminal. Mm-hmm. I do believe that she's broken the law on several levels in terms of classified documents, mm-hmm. her clearances, and everything else. You can say that, and I think that is a legitimate argument to make about who Hillary Clinton is. The Crooked Hillary, I think, okay.
It's tacky.
It's tacky. Yeah, it's tacky. Explain why you think Hillary Clinton mm-hmm. is a criminal. Crooked Hillary, I get where that came from. I get that that's a crowd pleaser, and I get it makes an easy chant because I make fun of chants on both sides of the aisle all the time. So you're right. I think this is a lot of virtue signaling.
It is.
And it's also trying to actually play the game that the left plays.
Yeah. And also, one more point. It's almost like saying, I'm so important and I've got such a power and influence that if I say the wrong thing, I need to apologize for it. I mean, there's a little bit of hubris there.
Yeah, there is.
Contributed on television. Now, this is not saying that I agree with her. I have many vast differences of opinion on philosophy and ideology, and I didn't think she was a great candidate, but hate is not a word that should be coming out of my mouth on television about someone of a different political persuasion.
Yeah. But everyone in that table says much, much worse on a probably a daily basis.
On a daily basis, they express their utter hatred.
Contempt,
for people.
hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are times when I have said on the air that something that the other side has done, that I really, truly do hate it. You know, the Maxine Waters talking to a crowd of people about, if you see people on the other side of the aisle, in a restaurant, a gas station, a supermarket, whatever, get in their face, make them uncomfortable, do all that. I hate that.
I hate that too.
I truly hate that.
And I will never regret saying I hate that.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone should hate that, by the way.
And if our side's doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
The other day when Nancy Pelosi was trying to walk into the back door of an auditorium, and there were a bunch of people screaming really vile things at her, I hated it.
I hate it too.
So I need to hold myself to the same standard that I would like to hold the president. And I implore everyone else in media, because I think we should cop to our mistakes. And I'm damn sure going to continue trying to do it like my father did. I'm not always going to tell you I'm going to succeed, but I do.
Okay, I have to pause it for a moment, because when she says, I want to continue to do what my father did, knowing her father. Now, I get that there's a different relationship between a father and a daughter. I've done things that I would never want my daughter to see. I've gotten angry at employees. I've lost my temper. But having seen John McCain, rest in peace, now that I've seen since I saw John McCain do horrible things to his staff and to other people, come on, Megan, give me a break. You had to know to a certain degree that your father was a hothead.
Yeah. Listen, she loved her dad dearly, and she's sad he's gone.
I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get that.
Regret doing that, because I thought, what have I done to contribute to the polarization in this country? And that is one thing that I can own that I did. And
I'm sorry, I got to stop it again.
Yeah, but also I don't even care what happens next, because I know what's not going to happen next, and that is Joy and Whoopi and Sonny saying, you know what, we're guilty too. Because they're not going to say that.
They're not right. They're going to just say that.
They're going to do this,
right? And
they're going to pounce on her for saying, sort of like in a oh yes, you're right. Thank
right.
You
the
for
very
doing
next
that.
day, they're going to pounce on her for something, or whatever guest they have on, they're going to pounce on that guest for being middle of the road or right of center or whatever it is. They're going to pounce right on them. But the other thing that bugs me is, I'm tired of people asserting when there is no causal link that there is some sort of causal link between saying Crooked Hillary and these putative explosive devices.
Ain't there. Ain't there yet. Could be there. We don't know. But jumping to those conclusions is just absolutely awful. And no side should do it. And the fact that it happens much more often on the left is nauseating. These are professional broadcasters. And them even having this discussion today or this week when we don't know all the information is irresponsible. It is
totally irresponsible.
But she feels good about herself today. After
that,
this week when
you're
she
right.
is. Yeah.
They broke Meghan McCain. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Hollywood in Toto on the Michael Brown Show. Happy Friday, everybody. Follow Christian on Twitter at Hollywood in Toto. Get to his website, hollywoodintoto.com. I don't know why. It's really kind of a lousy website. It's so bad.
Barely functional.
It is so bad that I want you to go look at it just to see how not to do your own website.
It's true.
How's that for a tease? How's that for a promo?
If I could teach one person how not to blog, then I've done my job.
Okay, so we're on a roll here.
Yes.
I've got another Hollywood in Toto clip up here that Angie's thrown into the folder called Senator Flake. She separated it by the questions.
Okay. I don't even know where to begin because the whole spiel got me so angry. And I just... he's a portrait of a Republican sap, a sucker, a guy who is neither left nor right, kind of dances to the left, won't stand up for the right, and pretends to be. He won't even stand
up for himself. So I don't know whether it's a part of this clip or not. But have you seen where he told somebody that when the people started screaming at him in the elevator, that he admitted that it intimidated him?
I can barely process this whole this. I can't
You're
process
a freaking
Jeff
United
Flake.
States senator.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of yahoos the Capitol Police should have, in fact, did come and grab and pull off the elevators, and you were intimidated by that? Holy cow!
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. But this interview is part and parcel of what he's been for the last 4 months, 5 months.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a tough question. The FBI investigation.
I'm sorry. Joy Behar.
Tough
questions. Let me get my head around that first.
She didn't say smart question. She said tough.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'm going to ask you a tough question. The FBI investigation, a lot of people say it was a complete sham because they never asked Kavanaugh or Dr. Blasey follow-up questions. They never really interviewed corroborating witnesses. It was...
There are no corroborating. That's the whole point of this. There are no witnesses. They had a few people who could have been, and they all said, I have no idea. I have no memory. I have no recollection. She's not telling the story that I recall.
Right, and the job of the
nothing.
Right, and the job of the FBI in the background investigation. This is not a criminal investigation. So first of all, her use of corroborating witnesses and everything else is technically incorrect. But we already had people, and I don't know where they started talking about. They submitted a letter under penalty of felony. My lawyer and I were laughing about that because the phrase is actually under penalty of perjury. I don't know where they started using the phrase penalty of felony.
I don't know.
So they've already submitted an affidavit under penalty of perjury that says, I have no recollection. So what's the FBI supposed to do? Go get a baseball bat and beat them until they, now I do remember something.
This is the point where if Jeff Flake had a spine and or a brain, he'd be able to say exactly what you are talking about. He displays neither.
And I'm not even a United States senator.
That's right.
Kind of like a slapdash investigation in the opinion, asking for a friend, of course. But
the scope was narrowed by the White House?
It was very narrow, and a lot of people say that it gave you cover to vote for him rather than that you really thought it through in a completely profound way.
How many hours and days of testimony do we go through?
It's never enough. The talking points remain.
It's never
limited
enough.
in scope. It was a sham. And I like the way they couch it. A lot of people say, yeah, all my friends in my coffee circles say that.
Yeah.
Listen, we all lived through this. It's in fresh memory.
I was sitting on a sidewalk cafe on the Upper East Side, and somebody told me XYZ. It's like, really?
I would have liked a broader investigation that started sooner. I think that would have been my preference.
Why did it not start sooner? Because Dianne Feinstein held the information for months.
Yes.
But he's not going to say that because he has neither a brain or a spine to use in this particular interview.
And that's not even, in my opinion, that's not even being partisan. That is stating a fact.
Yes.
Dianne Feinstein had the document. She could have turned it over to Chuck Grassley, the chairman, and said, Mr. Chairman, I think we need to investigate this. And call me stupid, but I really believe that Chuck Grassley would have said, oh, yeah, we need to give this to the FBI and have them look at it. We would not have gone through all this drama.
So for him to allege it, tease that, and not really give the truth is more just ridiculous behavior.
Yeah.
And the preference of many. But to have a week, the Anita Hill investigation took 4 days. So it is possible, and the FBI is fully capable of doing this. And they did. It wasn't a broad investigation, but it was thorough. I wish that the country could have read that report. I don't want to get in the habit of making background investigations public. We really can't do that.
You can if the subject matter, the person of the subject to the background check agrees to do so. I pulled mine out. I've gone through 2 of these.
Yeah.
When all the Kavanaugh stuff was going on, I decided to pull mine out and go through it. I've got 2 white binders from the White House with all of my clearance documents and all of my FBI reports in it. And I thumbed through it thinking, is there anything in here that I would care if the public knew?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would want to redact my social security number.
Of course, yeah.
Might want to redact, I don't care about old addresses. I would redact maybe the address where my mom still lives. But otherwise, no, actually, I don't care.
And also, if that was such an illuminating process that he read,
Yeah.
why is he not more firm
Yes.
in defending his decision and defending what he learned?
Right. Just actually,
He's just trying to appease the view host.
He is trying to appease them.
All he cares about.
And appeasement never works.
And is he the kind of guy who just does that in any venue? Like if he goes to a GOP rally, is he going to just talk red meat because he's there? Is he that guy?
No, I
Because
don't.
that's pathetic.
No, I think it's even worse. I don't think he'd even talk red meat. I just think he'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm a U.S. senator, and I'd really like to go back. You know.
But it was thorough for the scope that it was,
But
and
they didn't ask
it
those
did
people.
address and interview everybody that was there, that was said to have been there. It didn't go beyond to people that were secondhand witnesses.
Because secondhand witnesses is what you call hearsay. And hearsay is not admissible in a court of law. So why would you want hearsay in a judicial proceeding?
There's
in
nothing
a judicial
to
committee.
find. There's nothing to find.
All right, I'll fast forward this when we come back and we'll go to the next question. So far, Mr. Flake is not performing very well.
D-.
It's the Jeff Flake Show. Welcome back, Michael Brownie and Christian Toto filling in for Mr. Flake, who is under the desk at the View trying to, I don't know.
He's shining their shoes or maybe
Kissing
just,
their toes.
Oh,
I don't
my
know, giving
goodness.
Whoopi a foot massage. I don't know what he's doing.
He'd be a great talk show host, wouldn't he? I don't know. Maybe. I think.
Yes,
Welcome
maybe.
to the
I
show.
don't know.
I guess it's my show. I mean, my
That's
name's on
right.
it.
Oh, yeah. What do I have an opinion? I don't know. All right. Well,
Let me put my finger in the air, see which way the wind is blowing.
Which way the wind's blowing, baby. All right, here we go.
But it went 10 witnesses,
no,
I think
sorry.
11 or 12.
Do you think he should have taken a polygraph test, Kavanaugh?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, take a deep breath, Mr. Toto.
Sorry, continue. I have nothing to say. I needed to I needed to calm myself for that one.
Do you think he should have taken a polygraph test, Kavanaugh?
No, I don't think that you get into that. Then you'd have to go back into hers and say, how was that conducted? And you'd put her through that again. I don't think, I think there's a reason those in the legal field can probably say why you don't rely on those.
Shouldn't he know that answer?
I was trying to find the pause button.
Okay.
He should know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't think he's a lawyer, but you know, I guess I could Google it real quick. Except my Google's broken. I
mean, I feel like
Okay.
I've learned in the last few weeks that it's not admissible in the court, right? It's not admissible
allowed to-
information.
right.
There's a lot of different variables. It depends who's asking it. There are people who are guilty who can pass it. And also, I think the scope of her questions were, was it 2 questions? And
Two
it was,
questions. Is this statement yours? Is what you said in your statement true?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
It's
the,
not- it was
the
not a-
show
it was
host
not.
should know that.
Yes.
And then he
Well,
should.
if you did your show prep, you'd know
Right.
that.
And he should know that. I mean, the whole lie detector test was in the public arena for like 3 weeks, revolving on this case. I'm sure it was discussed in the Senate chamber at some point.
Well, in fact,
How does he not know this?
all right. I may be confused between what I've read
Uh-huh.
and what I watched on television, but I know the polygraph examination was discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about the reliability and the inadmissibility of polygraph
Right.
examinations. And they asked repeatedly. Now, I think Chairman Grassley knew what the polygraph questions were, but he asked Dr. Blasey Ford's lawyers numerous times to release the polygraph examiner's notes,
yes,
the questions, the results, everything, and they steadfastly refused to turn those over to the committee.
Do you think he would say that?
He knows that, and he should say that.
I'm aghast at this interview.
This is why on both sides of the aisle, again, maybe I'm trying to virtue signal here too a little bit, but, well, I'm not, because he's a Republican, but I get tired of politicians who are always dancing around the truth, because they're more, I sincerely believe this, they're more interested in their own fame than actually serving the country.
And maybe they love to be loved. And if he gives the interview that is honest and accurate, the hosts are not going to love him. It's going to be awkward.
Yes.
Maybe that's just not his style. I don't know him very well. I'm just basing on what I've read about him in this.
I don't think that in my time in D.C. I may have, but it was so inconsequential I don't remember.
This is like they yanked a guy off the street who maybe watches 2 hours of news a month, and they asked him some tough questions. And he's like, I don't know. What you got?
All right.
You could be right.
You want to move on?
Yeah. No.
Well, but Senator, as a former sex crimes prosecutor, I prosecuted many cases with just a woman's testimony, because with sex crimes, there typically are no witnesses in the room. And I've convicted every single person based on a woman's testimony. Did you believe Dr. Blasey Ford?
Is that accurate?
Do you think he should have taken it?
I'm
sorry. I mean, you've got the legal background. I don't. That doesn't pass the smell test to me.
It does.
That if a woman comes and says, this guy did something to me, I've got nothing else but my word, that guy's going to jail. That something's wrong with that story.
I think
there's got to be more.
I think most detectives in any little police department, big city police department, would sit the woman down. They would bring in a female officer or another officer for sure. So there's two people in the room. And they would sit down and they would gently grill, because without telling her off the bat, they would eventually come around to telling the alleged victim, ma'am, without more, we don't even know where to go look.
I mean, there could be DNA evidence.
Right.
I can show you on my calendar that I was here.
Right.
I've got friends I talked about. There's all those different things that would put the story together and make the case more airtight.
Right.
Here, she's got nothing.
Not even airtight, just something to start.
And she's got multiple discrepancies in her stories, too.
Right. I think the sad part of this whole episode is that this should have been over. But now here you and I are 2 weeks later still talking about this, because these people are still going out into the media arena and getting their last 15 minutes of fame.
Well, I mean, this needs to be debunked. And when the show like The View comes out and spreads its information, which is misinformation, it needs to be fact-checked, and no one else is going to do it. Not that our show is so monumentally important, but they're putting out a bunch of hogwash here.
Yeah,
and he's helping them.
Right, because he's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything at all. Okay, let's fast forward to what appears to be the last question.
But there was so much ambiguity the way you're describing it. Why not just find another person who had none of this ambiguity?
Well,
there are many judges out there who are quite capable of the job. Why him?
Okay, I don't want to get all technical here, but you have to first get beyond a preliminary hearing. You have to be able to show a judge, a magistrate, that the prosecution does, that there is some likelihood, there is some evidentiary bundle here that shows that we have enough evidence to bind, the phrase is to bind that defendant over for trial.
And more
there's not even enough of that to bind Kavanaugh over for a trial.
But the big picture is, if there was any other judge nominated by Trump, she would be attacking them for different reasons.
For different reasons. Oh, absolutely.
And also, this guy worked his entire life to build this portfolio, to have this career, to be at this chance. Why does he have to get it robbed by this flimsy evidence when he was 17 years old after 36 years of exemplary existence? Well, it's just wrong.
That's been my problem from the very beginning. So, Mr. Toto, let's go back to your high school days. And I want to hear the one story that if there was not a statute of limitations, you would maybe even have a misdemeanor charge, or you might have spent a night in jail just because they wanted to teach you a lesson. Maybe they were never really going to charge you, but it was enough to hold you overnight. You're to be judged by that versus you're like 100 years old versus the, 82 years since then.
It's absurd. And that was like part of the conversation that was not really discussed enough. The fact that when do we get over things in our lives? When do we our entire life's work will be invalidated based on a 17-year-old guy who did, let's just say he'd happened, something really mean and cruel to that woman. His entire life gets wiped away because of that moment.
This is also why when you go through a full field FBI background check, or you're getting a top clearance at the CIA or anywhere else, they don't ask you about anything prior to your 18th birthday.
Cory Booker grabbed a girl when he was 15. Does that count?
Yeah. When we come back, I'll tell you there's a question the White House does ask that kind of goes beyond that. But I'll explain what that is.
You're listening to The Michael Brown Show.
Just before the break, I was pointing out that when you fill out your SF-86's radio, I forget what the number is, you don't do anything prior to your 18th birthday. Now, for the CIA and the NSA, they ask some general questions about things prior to your 18th birthday, but everybody who is nominated by the President of the United States for a position that has to be confirmed by the Senate is asked this question by the White House counsel, and there is no time limit on it. I suppose if you did something when you were 6 years old, you have an obligation to tell them. And the question goes like this. This is Al Gonzalez, White House counsel, talking to me. He comes around behind his desk. We sit down. Michael, is there anything ever in your life that if it came public knowledge would embarrass the president or this administration? And it caught me off guard because I'm thinking, okay, yeah, there are maybe some things that were silly, and I actually gave the White House counsel an example of something that I thought was kind of silly that, it might be embarrassing, and he sloughed it off as, we're not looking for that.
Right.
We're looking for something a little more serious than the fact that maybe you and Tamara, lit a trash can on fire or something, and rolled it down the street or something,
You burn your brassiere.
That's right. Tamara burned her bra and I burned my underwear. So, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. So no, but there is that question. But no, come on. That's why you can't vote till you're 18. That's why you can't join the Army. That's why you can't do any number of things.
It's amazing. So this week I had a rare honor.
Yes.
I was retweeted by Tom Arnold. And the funny thing is the article I wrote about him was fairly negative and about him, about his behavior. I think he just saw the headline and kind of got a kick out of it and just retweeted it.
What was the headline?
So I wrote Roseanne Barr banned, Tom Arnold thrives. And it looks at Roseanne Barr sent that awful racially tinged tweet. I still can't wrap my brain around her defenses of it. I don't think they're very strong. Right. I don't know what she was thinking, but let's just take it at face value. It was an ugly racist tweet.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Show's gone. Career's probably gone. Residuals or sort of the money that she was making off Roseanne, I'm pretty sure that's gone too. Yeah. Her character's gone. Literally, they killed her off in the first episode of The Conners.
How'd they kill her off? Did you?
I thought, was it an OD or like
I don't know.
Was it opioid or something?
You're asking me?
I think that was.
You're Hollywood and Toto.
I
studiously
avoided The Conners, although I know that the ratings have been slinking and they started off poor to begin with. And then I thought about Tom. What's Tom been up to? And I kind of went through some of his escapades. Now Tom has got a show that was just. I don't want to say it was canceled. It kind of ran its course. It was on Viceland. The Hunt for the Trump tapes. Can we say the urine tapes? I guess you could say. Was the other phrase for that? Anyway,
piss tapes.
Right, P tapes.
Oh, P.
That was one of the things. That was sort of like one of the missions of the stupid show.
You can't say that. Yeah.
We got to find it. Right. They didn't find it. To the best of my knowledge, nothing's happening to him his career. No one's banning him. No one's attacking him. He suggested that Brett Kavanaugh was a pedophile on Twitter with no proof. He said, Candace Owens, the black conservative woman, I don't even know how to paraphrase what he said. He wanted her to perform something on a racist genitalia. That's pretty, a black woman. He said that.
Seriously.
And he also
said, free floating around on Twitter.
And he said recently, he said there was something, I think he joined in a Twitter conversation, and he said the next time Kathy Griffin holds up that Trump head, it won't be fake.
Whoa.
Did he get fired? Was there an apology tour he had to go on?
I guess, did he say
Did you read about it?
Did he say that on Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter. I think I screen capped it.
And he's still on Twitter?
Of course, yeah. He's not going to get kicked off. I think Jack is going to kick him off Twitter.
No, of course not. Jack's not. I think Jack's got his head up his own butt.
And so my story is about, here's this couple. They were romantically linked. They got married. They had a tumultuous relationship. They broke up. And by the way, she alleged he was physically and verbally abusive to her. What about the Me Too thing? He was a grown man at the time. Why is he not being checked into that?
I can't believe he's still on Twitter.
Why would he not be? He is one of the Trump administration's roughest
That's naive
critics.
on my part.
Every day I'm on Twitter. I'm on a lot. You and I talk about it.
Right.
I'm genuinely afraid they're going to ban me. Because I think the bar keeps getting lower and lower for people right of center. Yeah. And again, I don't curse on Twitter. I don't share crazy conspiracy theories. But I am conservative, and I do share some thoughts about that. And I do respond to people in such a fashion. At what point?
Gay Patriot got banned.
Exactly. He's not a bomb thrower, rhetorically speaking.
In fact, he was one of the most, talk about somebody that was able to take right of center positions and use humor to do it. He was fantastic with it.
He's gone.
I loved Bruce. He was what was his tagline? America's lovable gay Twitter account or something. And he was.
And he's gone. And you don't get an explanation. You don't get a reason. You don't get at least with Facebook, you go in Facebook jail for like 30 days, I understand, and then you come back.
Or they tell you.
I think at some point you or I can get banned, and what we don't have any recourse. What service like Twitter is a tenth of as powerful as Twitter? It's not out there. Or Facebook?
No.
Our friend Steve McGrew gets kicked off there every other week.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. So there's Tom and there's Roseanne. They're divorced. They've gone their separate ways, but in a way, to me, they're together again.
Did he tweet this? Did he just tweet the story and leave it out there, or did he make any comment about the story that you?
He said something like, "I think you're being too kind about me," or something like, "Oh, sort of like I'm not really thriving." He was being self-deprecating, which makes me believe that he saw the headline, didn't read the story.
Didn't read the story, yeah.
Because I don't say anything. I'm not saying he's a horrible human being. I'm saying, hey, Tom Arnold says all these really terrible things. And nothing happens to him.
Yeah,
and Roseanne says one terrible thing, and she's wiped out of it.
He didn't
like
read
a
your
cloth.
story. He didn't read your story.
No.
He saw the headline.
Yeah.
He just saw the headline.
Yeah. And by the way, he must have been that powerful because I didn't get a lot of clicks from that. Take that, Tom Arnold.
Yeah, there you go.
But thank you for the retweet. I appreciate it.
Hang on. Let's see what's coming up next. Mike Myers coming in the studio.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
The Michael Brown Show continues after this.